Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli waj'al li wazira min ahli haruna akhi ushdud bihi azri wa ashrikhu fi amri kay nusabbihaka kathira wa nadhkuraka kathira innaka kunta bina basira. وصلى اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين الحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum everyone. We are today continuing our discussion on the topic of sincerity. We're reading from the 20th Flash. And today we are going to continue our discussion from reading the second cause. Before, obviously, we begin our reading, fresh reading for the day, I will help collate the ideas that have been discussed in the past three to four sessions, I believe, that we've had on this topic. So this reading has been introduced as the topic of sincerity can be looked at as a practical application of our belief or our conclusion, our theoretical conclusion on belief matters, and sincerity being an application of that conclusion in our practical lives. So the Flash started with a verse from the Quran, chapter 39, verse 2, regarding the relationship and you could say the significance of the matter of sincerity for the believer in his, there's a concept of sincerity in worship and the fact that, the religion that he is practicing belongs to God or the creator of this universe. And we also have a hadith that helps sort of connect and explain what this, how we may understand sincerity. And throughout this flash and the following one, inshallah, we'll be introduced to what is it meant by sincerity. Up till now, we've discussed, in the context of the verse and the hadith, and we've discussed the idea that and the hadith sort of helped us do that, was just knowing something or just practicing what you know doesn't necessarily mean that that's a sincere action. But rather, sincerity has to do with a sense of responsibility and a sense of, I guess, diligence that one shows through their awareness of their action, of themselves, a diligence towards attributing and acknowledging their experience to the rightful owner of that experience or that feeling or whatever that one experiences. And so we take this concept of, rightfully attributing or returning through acknowledgement, through conscious acknowledgement, from this concept of religion, or the Arabic word of deen, or something that you are repaying to the owner of the universe. So there is an aspect of worshipping in sincerity that then will connects to being able to, through that worship in sincerity, one is then able to return um, or return through acknowledgement what is owed to the creator of the universe. And what is owed is a conscious awareness and a confirmation that everything that exists in our experience has a creator that is absolute and eternal. So that's was the beginning. And then the author introduces us to a question which he goes on to answer that question in multiple sort of parts. And we did the first cause. We read the first cause in the past few weeks. The question that the author has put forward to us is, as a paraphrase, the question is put forth that, it appears that people who are, non-believers, let's say, who are concerned with worldly matters, are just concerned with the, life in material terms, even who may not be, may have other, let's say, over here it says misguided or hypocrites, there's something that doesn't seem that they are attributing their existence to a divine being. Somehow we, observe that they seem to be cooperating without disagreement and rivalry, and getting, having transactions amongst them without sort of any issue or any matters of sort of competition. Whereas on the other side, we notice that religious individuals or people who believe or attribute, their existence to a divine being, do appear or can appear to us as opposing each other or having a rivalry or competition amongst them, although they are the ones who are supposed to be on the path of truth and of harmony and togetherness and collaboration. So what explains this seemingly contradictory observation in our practical lives? So to this, the author presents his arguments, and what we read it as is that he first defines why there could be, in fact, rivalry amongst people of belief and apparent agreement and collaboration between people of neglect. What explains this, and then he also offers, some sort of solution at the end of each cause. In the first cause, briefly speaking, the question is, the author seems to suggest that because the world, people who concern themselves with material gain or gain in this world, what they're trying to achieve is known to them, or is known and apparent, and can be achieved in our material and worldly, or in this life. And so once they do achieve it or gain it, there's no argument or issue. Both parties are happy. For example, someone goes buys something from a shop, he pays the money, the right money for that thing. He's satisfied with what he's received. They go their separate ways. This transaction experience seems very reasonable, seems to be no apparent issue, but doesn't necessarily make it sincere. That's what the argument of the author is here. Whereas the people of religion or belief, they are not looking for a reward or a end product that has a material nature. Neither is that provided by anything within existence. Rather, what they are attaching themselves to is the or what they're seeking is, for our purposes, or the purposes of this existence, unknown. And the reward is also provided by that which is, or the source of that reward that they seek is not within the universe. And so with this sort of lack of what you could say external, instrument to measure the gain or satisfaction, or any sort of like arbitrator or arbiter in this world, it leaves an open-ended issue where anyone can potentially claim that they, or what they say or do, is right. But of course, there's no way to confirm that statement, because there's what they're claiming has nothing, or what they are claiming to prove does not exist in material terms. And so this sort of unknown nature of what the people of belief and religion seek, this unknown nature gives forth to potential reasons for rivalry or competition between people, claiming that their claim to the truth is right or better or stronger, and so forth. And those claims obviously cannot be tested or confirmed within this universe. And so to this issue that the author describes, he then gives us a solution, which says that, one way that we can avoid, or people of belief can avoid this rivalry or competition, is for them to understand that their role in proclaiming any claim to the truth is that of being a messenger, or of one that only conveys what they have concluded, or what they believe. And it has, to not take ownership of it, to not let any part of yourself lay claim to having created or taking ownership of that idea. And that's on page 202. And so worshiping sincerity is then, acting as purely a conveyor of the message, acting purely in the fact that you started out with the intention that whatever that you are about to do is is being done out of a responsibility, out of a debt that you owe to the creator of of the universe, and carrying out that action with that sort of understanding that this is only something that you are giving back, but nothing that you own. And this is being done for nothing but to fulfill this responsibility in earnestness and in honesty, as you experience within your existence, that you do not own, or nothing belongs to you. You're not an owner, but everything rather has been given to you. And so you should act out of this realization that you are in need of responding and acknowledging and returning the debt through this correspondence. And so this element of sincerity will be preserved in your actions as a believer if you purely convey the message with this responsibility towards paying, or returning your debt. And that is one way to, or that is the solution that the author provides in the first cause for people of belief to avoid seemingly discord, rivalry, and competition amongst them, and rather come together on this basis that they all have a single purpose, and that the reward is from God alone, and that there is no way or need to measure it or quantify it or calibrate it within this existence. And our job is just to pay the loan, and that's it, or pay the debt, and that's it. So on that note, we can start our discussion for today, or in reading the second cause. As these discussions go, most of you, if not all of you, are very familiar. We'll read the passage. I will, sort of prompt you and myself with a question or two. I hope to be specific as possible, but given the nature of certain readings, we'll adjust accordingly. I'll share my thoughts as we go, but at any time, feel free to raise your hand with the thought, comment, question. And from time to time, I'll prompt you, but I might just, continue to discuss, and we'll wait for your participation, which is incredibly encouraged and beneficial for all of us, inshallah. So the second cause. The agreement among the people of misguidance is on account of their abasement, and the dispute among the people of guidance is on account of their dignity. That is to say that the people of neglect, those misguided ones sunk in worldly concerns, are weak and debased because they do not rely on truth and reality. On account of their abasement, they need to augment their strength, and because of this, they wholeheartedly embrace the aid and cooperation of others. Even though the path they follow is misguidance, they preserve their agreement. It is as if they were making their godlessness into a form of worship of the truth, their misguidance into a form of sincerity, their religion into a form of solidarity, their hypocrisy into concord, and thus attaining success. For genuine sincerity, even for the sake of evil cannot fail to yield results. And whatever man seeks with sincerity, God will grant him. Yes, whoever seeks earnestly shall find is a rule of truth. Its scope is comprehensive and includes the matter under discussion. But as for the people of guidance and religion, the religious scholars and those who follow the Sufi path, since they rely upon the truth and reality, each of them on the road of truth thinks only of his sustainer and trusts in his succor. They derive dignity from their belief. When they feel weakness, they turn not toward men, but toward God, and seek help from him. On account of difference in outlook, they feel no real need for the aid of the one whose outlook apparently opposes their own, and see no need for agreement and unity. Indeed, if obstinacy and egotism are present, one will imagine himself to be right and the other to be wrong. Discord and rivalry take the place of concord and love. Thus, sincerity is chased away and its function disrupted. So up till this point, as I mentioned, the author has sort of just opened up a or shed light on one of the ways that it would appear why people of what he's terming as misguidance or of unbelief seem to have some sort of agreement amongst them, whereas people of guidance and religion don't. And so the second half of this cause is a remedy to that situation. And I will propose that we just sort of clear up the issue as seen as sort of described by the author, and then move on to the remedy, inshallah, also today. And that is going to be the end of the second cause. So my question or my sort of request from the group here is that it would be interesting or helpful for everybody if we are able to describe the situation that has been described by the author of the people of misguidance and the people of religion. Perhaps using examples. Is this something that you confirm to be also true in your experience? That if you go to the previous page, then we can see what is this condition that the author described of the people of unbelief. So he says on the bottom of the page that there's an agreement that the people of misguidance have on the account of their abasement. So on the, I understand the word abasement to be like a sort of the, like that sort of is degrading, and not something of honor amongst them. And so very naturally, in trying to understand this condition, what do you understand from this scenario? Like, or if there is a way that you can describe the scenario in another example, what would it look like? Of apparent agreement, but it is actually coming out of a, what is it? Out of abasement of, out of a lack of, sort of value or honor. But, on the surface, it appears like an agreement, but actually it is something that is degrading. Yes. H. Beza, please start us off today. Go ahead. Okay, fair enough. Feel free to type things if you need to. And if not, then, Adam, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Assalamu alaikum. I'm just jumping in. So when H. Beza is ready, she can jump in also. I'm thinking about it. I like you and others here, I'm sure, have spent many years working in other conditions, right? Not being on halaqas, discussions every weekend or 5-7 days a week. So I think we're all kind of exposed to other circles where people are, doing many activities for business and other social gatherings. It is interesting that the amount of concern that is put in those circles towards your own peer acceptance, your own acceptance of by the others who are around you, who work with you. And so as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking about it on account, and especially this part that's highlighted, on account of their abasement, they need to augment their strength, and because of this, they wholeheartedly embrace aid and cooperation of others. Yeah, that's something that I have found a lot in my own personal experience. I never looked at it in terms of their abasement, but it's an interesting point, because in the absence of finding strength from real truth or real, existential truth or something like this, existential kind of conclusion or realization, you need many others around you to feel like you're part of them and they're part of you. And I've certainly seen that. So because without that, then how does one feel secure? Because they don't have any other strength that they can rely on. So I personally experienced this, and it's an interesting analysis. I never thought about it. The latter part, maybe when we get there, I'll also chime in again about what I have found from the people who claim to follow the truth, what their attitude is. I never thought about it in this way exactly, but yes, I can speak for this part. There is a considerable amount of effort trying to augment strength by numbers and by others who are in their circles and their groups. And a lot of concern and effort is put on that. I'll just say that for right now. I don't know if that helps.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I understand. I got what you were, I think, putting across. And if I were to sort of, rephrase it in my own words and experience, it is in the face of sort of insecurity where, where there is no true sense of strength or source of strength or feeling of security, then you will find ways, and in a workplace, it always has to do with making alliances or seeking support of those who have an apparent or a seemingly high status or post or sense of security, people of certain rank or power, etc. And sometimes that comes in the form of having a lot of people, being friendly or cordial with a lot of people, and that becomes your collateral, and that you feel like that will protect you. If not, it's a relationship with somebody, let's say a high-ranking individual in the office. So it's those alliances that you try to make in the face of your own lack of, sense of insecurity, having attached yourself to something, eternal or absolute in nature. Ali Murmur, you can please go ahead and share your thoughts.
No, thank you. Now we have to define sincerity as far as the conditions of this world are concerned. The way the order of the universe is established seems to be not changing according to one's intention in his heart, does not affect the way the order functions. So sincerity, as far as the conditions of the order of the universe are concerned, I understand should mean that I am consistent in following the requirements of the order of the universe. I repeat, I am consistent with the requirements of the order of the universe. That means I am sincere to the functioning of the universe. So the last sentence of the second cause that you read, but not the second cause, the first paragraph of the second cause, the last sentence, for, am I wrong? The second quote, for genuine sincerity, on account of other, no, the last sentence of the first paragraph. Yeah, thank you, Hamid, thank you. For genuine sincerity, even for the sake of evil. This sentence is really very important for us to understand. In which term, what we mean by sincerity. Now, genuine sincerity, even for the sake of evil, doing something not right according to the criterion put forward by religion, but for the sake of evil. Genuine sincerity cannot fail to yield results. It means, for example, I am going to kill an innocent person, and I am very sincere in my decision that I am going to kill an innocent person. I'm giving a very extreme example. But what is sincerity here? I am very sincere. I am genuinely, sincerely decisive about killing this person. What am I expected to do? To follow the rules of the order of the universe in order to kill this innocent person. Can you imagine? Without following the rest of the sentence, am I going to be successful or not? I'm going to kill an innocent person. I am very serious about it. I am very sincere in my decision. So I will follow the requirements of the order as they really want me to follow. I obey the order perfectly in order to kill an innocent person. Do you think, will I be successful or not? Somebody answer, please. Likely, but not guaranteed. No, guaranteed in this world.
You mean successfully killing the person?
Yeah. Innocent person, according
You
to
should be successful.
Sorry?
You should be successful.
Yeah, because according to the requirements of the order of the universe, which does not change, if I follow the order, according to the requirements of the order, I will be successful. I am not going to create it, but the one who established the order of the universe, by not changing the order of the universe, promises that whoever follows the requirements of the order of the universe, the establisher of the universe promises that he will give him success, him or her success. He will give him success. So the sentence says, and I'm reading the rest of the sentence, and whatever man seeks with sincerity, but we defined sincerity It means following the requirements of the order perfectly. God will grant him it. I think we have to understand this. Why non-believers or the people with bad intention, evil purposes are successful sometimes in the world if they are sincere in their attempt to get the result. They will be granted the result by the will of the Creator. We have to understand Creator of the universe, because within the conditions of this world, the Creator of the universe does not change the laws, the principles of the order he established in this world. That's what we have to understand. We shouldn't be disappointed why God gives success to those atrocity, to those bad people, to the wars, and people are led by God to let be killed during the wars. Millions of innocent people are killed. Why does God allow such atrocities? Oh, that is God's promise. Whoever follows the requirements of the order, he will be successful. Sincerity means seriously following every details of the order. So it doesn't mean that the result is created, but it doesn't mean that God is pleased with it. That is another subject. Within the conditions of this universe, whatever I choose in order to follow the necessities of the order of the universe, the result will be created and responsibility will remain on me, because I have chosen the evil option, not the good option. So evil option, as far as my intention is concerned, as far as my attempt is concerned, will be created, but the responsibility will remain on me. God keeps, the Creator of the universe keeps his promise that he is not going to change the order according to the intentions of the people. This is a very important subject, but at the same time, we have to remember our relationship with the order of the universe. How sincere we are is another matter. It means sincerity in obeying the Creator, rather than in obeying the orders in obeying the laws, the principles, the requirements of the order. We have to make the distinction. If someone has an evil intention, do something wrong, but obey the order, God says, okay, I will create what you wanted, and as long as you obey the order of my creation, I will create the result, but you will be responsible for it. That is the necessary conclusion of the human free will. We have to understand the human free will is, by definition, free to choose the evil option or to choose the good option. If I choose the evil option, I will be responsible for it. If I choose the good option, I will be rewarded for it according to my choice. But as far as the success is concerned in this world, I have to obey the requirements of the order. But as far as the success is concerned in this world, I will follow the order. If I am very sincere, I want to help you sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I want to help you, but I don't follow the order of the universe. Can I help you? Can the result is created? I am begging Allah, please Allah, let me help this person, needy person. But I am not attempting, I am not following the order of the universe in this world. Can this needy person receive my help? Any answer? Just I wanted to check whether H. Bezos says no. Of course not. But we have to understand that as far as my relationship with the order of the universe is concerned, the case is different. As far as my intention in acknowledging the creator or not acknowledging the creator and his will is concerned, the law of the universe is something else concerning this world, but my relationship with the creator is concerned, my intention in choosing, in practicing my free will is concerned, will be something to do with God's pleasure or not. If I am sincere in having the intention and doing my responsibility as far as the requirements of the order of this universe are concerned, then I will be successful. But if I say, for example, I can speak to brother, Miriam now, my beloved friend, Miriam. Now she's here. Miriam, I want to help you. Miriam says, okay, go ahead. But I do nothing. I don't attempt the requirements of the order of the universe. Do you think can I be sincere in my desire to help Miriam?
No.
I don't attempt. If I don't attempt the requirements.
Nope.
Dr. Ali, if you're speaking, then we can't hear you at this time.
Can you hear me?
Do you hear me now?
Now we can, yes.
How about now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. My success in sincerity in religion can only become true. I have to bear in mind that the order of the universe in the hands of the creator of the universe. So when I obey the order of the universe, I am obeying the will of the creator of the universe. That is my belief side. How about the requirements of this world? So if I really believe that the order of the universe has been established by the creator of the universe, who is called God, if it is established by God, if I want to obey God, I have to obey his will, which is manifested within the universe as well. It must be together. I must acknowledge the creator of the universe. I must obey his will within the conditions of the universe. That is the inevitable requirement of life in this world. We are created with body and with soul. Soul acknowledges the universe, the creator. body must follow it within the conditions of the universe by obeying the order of the universe. There must be together as I am together, because my soul has been put in my body in order to continue my life, my responsibility within this universe. So we shouldn't confuse that. I have a clean heart. I want to help Marianne. I really want, please God, help Miriam through me, but I'm not doing anything physically by obeying the order. God says, you are a hypocrite. You are an hypocrite. If you were sincere really, you would follow my will manifested in the universe through your physical actions as well. So we have to combine it. That's what I understood from the last sentence, and also why the people of misguidance can be successful while the people of guidance cannot be. Of course, that is another subject. Dignity and abasement factors are to be studied separately. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ali, for that detailed and interesting perspective on defining sincerity, which you sort of suggest that sincerity is when one follows the rules of the universe and obeys the order, follows the requirements of the universe. So if I understand you correctly, a person who is not a believer can be sincere because they are quote unquote sincere in following the order of the universe, but they may still not acknowledge the owner of that order. You know, I understand that we also, we see a lot of sincere acts that don't have anything to do with people of belief or religion, or what we call sincere acts. But if I take your definition that sincerity is following the requirements of the universe, I was thinking briefly, like, why wouldn't we just call that common sense instead of saying that that's a sincere action? Like, for example, a farmer wants to grow a crop. He gets the right seed, takes care, etc., does his job well. We can say that, we can say that he did his job sincerely, to also mean that he followed all the right steps and he dedicated himself or whatsoever. And in worldly terms, yes, we can say that he's sincere, but from the perspective of I guess, the worldview in which we attribute our existence to a divine being, I think that can be argued to be not a question of sincerity, because there's no acknowledgement in it of whose order he's actually following. He could still be attributing those actions to himself, or not be consciously aware of that order. So that's something that I was thinking about and trying to tease. I appreciate you taking out this sentence as a focus for our discussion today. The way that perhaps I read this when I first read this was a little different, and I'll share it just to see if it has any relevance. But I was thinking about it in this case, that even for genuine sincerity, because to me, sincerity, I cannot think of sincerity, even in material worldly terms, to be devoid of any connection or sort of indication to the existence of a divine being. For example, I was thinking of an example where I know this in this statement, the author says particularly even for the sake of evil, but let's say it's not an evil act. And your example was a good one. But let's say somebody wants to travel, just they're not a believer. They just want to travel for, their summer break and go to a bunch of countries to explore. But they have an intention that through those travels, they want to get to know what is the purpose to their life. Let's say they don't believe in a God, but they just want to know and be informed and learn what is the meaning of life, or to try and challenge their existing opinion. That to me seems like a sincere intention, even if it is not connected with an awareness, a conscious awareness of a creator, but rather a sincerity to finding the truth, and a sincerity to detaching oneself and saying that, I'm doing this or I'm taking this action because I want to get to know the truth, whatever that might be, whether I like it or I don't like it. So I was thinking about sincerity from this aspect is like, some commitment to getting to know the truth of, or the reality of a situation or of a matter. And therefore, I struggle with trying to understand sincerity as just simply following the order of the universe. If somebody else has thoughts on, what Dr. Ali shared and what my reservations are, please feel free to share, raise your hand at any time. And of course, Dr. Ali has the chance to respond also. So with that matter on one side, on talking about, what do you take away from, let's say, the definition put forward by our friend here, that sincerity is following the requirements of the universe, following the order. And in completion of that action of following the order, one can receive quote unquote success, which is what they hope to get at the end of it. And, that is granted by God if you follow the order as a matter of sincerity. Yes, Dr. Ali, please.
If anybody else wants to say anything, please interrupt me, because I spoke already a lot. So now, your example is just a common language. I'm very sincere in my intention. I'm, for example, a person, as you said, wants to go on a journey in order to understand what is going on in this world, what is the reality out there. Let me go and investigate it. Okay. That is what we use the language in our daily language. These are sincere people, but we don't know the sincerity, how much they are following the requirements of the order of the universe, including the order in human creation. For example, if I have my bias, ideas, for example, I want to know what the reality of the universe is, but I will see whether it works for me or not. For example, in this case, I am looking for the truth, but with a condition. It is against the order of the creation. Can I learn the truth? No, because I am contradicting the order of the creation. Now, the examples I gave before were related directly to the physical outside of the human existence. It means physical world outside of a human being. But what you included now, human conditions as well. Human conditions also have its own order, how to function. For example, if I put any limitations to learn the truth, I cannot learn the truth as far as these limitations put the line or put the border. When it comes to the limitations, I cannot learn because it is the order in my creation. If I am biased about something, I cannot learn anything at all. That is the order in my creation. So if we combine all of them, we have to speak in terms of definitions. If I follow the order in the creation of the outside world, outside of me, the physical world outside of me, including the order in my creation, in my physical world, it means my body, and also in my spiritual world, it means my emotion, my feelings, my emotions. They have to work all together in harmony in order to follow the order of the creation in three fields: the universe outside there, in my physical body, and in my soul, in my human feelings. Three of them must be in alignment in following the order of the creation in order to be successful. Of course, what we are doing here to make the subject so easy to understand, so that who is successful in this world? Whoever follows the order of the universe is successful. But order of the universe includes human physical conditions and human spiritual conditions. My emotions, for example, my feelings, that everything must be aligned in order to be successful. That is the will of the Creator. Otherwise, I won't be successful. For example, I may say, okay, I'm going to go on a journey in order to understand the truth, the reality of existence, but I go to only the place where I feel comfortable. For example, I feel comfortable means according to my expectations, good food, etc., rather than looking for good idea, consistent ideas. For example, I'm not saying people are insincere, but what we should understand the subject in terms of definition. In terms of definition means if I follow the order of the universe, order in my creation, order in my spiritual existence, I will be successful by definition. If I don't follow, I won't be successful. That's by definition. We can generalize it. So I think the common sense means the common language may not encompass the details, may not include the details, but we have to here study and concentrate on the subject and understand and get into the details. That is why we have to be precise while we are studying the theory, although we may fail while we are doing the practice because we may ignore some elements. We may leave out some elements while we are doing the analysis in practical terms. But at least theoretically, we have to be consistent. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you for that. So you basically provided a framework at the very basic level, defining sincerity as following the order. And from that basic level, one can expand or deepen their understanding of both the order and, of course, that understanding and compliance and following that order to a greater detail, perhaps also can be said to be, something that increases someone's sincerity or makes it stronger or makes it, expand someone's sincerity. But at the very basic level, that applies to any human being, regardless of their belief, is following the order of the universe as, as they understand, as best understood by them. Okay. I think that this matter, I think we have sort of made some progress on, definitely, on defining how the concept of sincerity can be applicable to both people of belief or unbelief, and that, and I think there's like also this concept that even like a grain or a very little amount of sincerity leads you to success. So I think if I apply that, your definition that you've shared there, I can see why that statement could be made, where, even a little amount of sincerity gives you success, which is even following the most, simple rules or requirements of the universe should yield you some result or success in this world. All right. With that note, if people thought this particular statement and what's been discussed so far, please feel free to share. What I propose next is we sort of understand the concept of abasement and dignity that are, form sort of the rest of this problem expressed or explained by the author. So if there are no comments on this particular statement, then, but even if you come up with it later while we're talking, feel free to share them. No worries there. So if I go back to the topic of abasement and dignity, on the previous page, here's one example that I was thinking about to express why in a seeming an agreement reached by somebody may still be, that degrades their being, and obviously connecting everything back to the dignity of a human being and the degradation of the human being and his qualities, and what makes one human in the first place. So here's an example. So imagine there are two people, or there's you, and you've been given something in your possession, something very valuable, by someone, by a friend, by your mother, by somebody, by someone else. And they entrusted you with it, and they, let you use it. And you actually use it, and you actually find great benefit in it. And not only are you taking care of it because it's been given to you, but also you find great use for it for yourself also. You benefit from it. And say somebody comes along and asks to purchase this from you. So in the case of a person who actually not only values the fact that this wasn't their own, that this was given to them, recognizes this fact. And the other thing that they actually find use in it, will probably, in respecting this, will not sell this valuable thing that they have for any amount of price that somebody would be giving them for. So seemingly there is a conflict, you could say, or a disagreement between you and this person in trying to, for them to buy this and your reluctance to sell it, because you honor the fact that this has not only value to you, but that this has been given to you, and no matter no matter what, you don't feel any need. No matter how high the price you're offered, you don't feel any need to sell it because of these two principles of the fact that it is given and the fact that it is of use to you. But imagine, like, maybe it's you in the same situation or somebody else. They either disregard or don't value the fact that this was given to them. They don't think it's important, or they don't respect that fact, and neither do they make the most of it. For that individual, they will probably easily be able to come with an agreement with this person and to sell this item off. And so apparently, they have an agreement. They have something in common. They have something, shared. But this individual, or us in this case, has degraded our value, or we've degraded ourselves in the fact that we have broken the contract between the one who entrusted this with us, and we also perhaps did not make the most use of this for ourselves. And so I hope these examples in some way were able to illustrate what I seem to have understood from this concept of, how is it that by not attaching the fact that what you need for your strength and security is being given to you, and that if you were to, and the only sort of duty there is for you in that moment is to the person or the individual that gave this ability to you, and for us that could be our connection with a conscious source of being. Whereas someone who is not aware of this, does not acknowledge this fact, for them, their source of security will need to come from anything around them. And so they will be likely, or not even likely, but forced or urged or encouraged to find some sort of contract or agreement with something around them, something within this universe, so that it gives them some sense of security. Whereas the individual of belief knows that the source of their strength is coming from an absolute being. No matter what, it is not going to be fulfilled or achieved from anything within this universe, and that doesn't threaten their sense of belief or confirmation in this fact. And seemingly they seem to be in disagreement, but they do have a clear sight, or a clear connection, or an awareness of who their loyalty or commitment is towards. So there was an attempt in trying to explain this phenomena. And if anybody wants to chime in on this, how they understand the concepts of abasement and dignity and how they play out in the scenarios expressed by the author in the case of the unbeliever and the person of belief, please go ahead. Dr. Ali, please go ahead.
So this is a difficult subject to understand the sincerity, because from what aspect we look at the case makes or changes the concept of sincerity. For example, let's study this. The second paragraph, Hamim, can you please highlight this as on the road of truth, on the road of truth, on the road of truth, come one line down. Yeah, correct. On the road of truth, people on the road of truth thinks only of his sustainer and trusts in his succor. God will give me success, he says. They derive dignity from their belief. Look at this. They derive dignity from their belief. God will give me success. Now, let's understand this. When I say, for example, I claim that I am on the road of truth, I believe in God, and I believe that God will give the success. What I do now, I may feel weakness, and in the continuing lines, they turn not towards men, but towards God. I say, please God, give me success, and seek help from him. It looks like dignity because I don't disdain the conditions of this world. I don't disdain the causes of this world, the order of this world. I say, I believe in God, and God can create everything, and I seek help from God. It looks wonderful, isn't it? I say, God can create anything. Look at my iman, my belief, so strong. But I don't follow the order of the universe, which is established by God. And God put me within the universe to follow the order in order to follow his will. That's what we have to understand. So apparent dignity may cause conflict between the believers. Why? Every believer says, I am true, God will give me success, and I trust him. Please God, give me success. The other one also says, please God, the other person who is the person of belief, person of guidance, please God, give me success. But both of us are not obeying the order of the universe. What do you think the result will be? Both of us says, God is all powerful. God will give success to the truthful one. The other one says, God is all powerful. God will give success to the truthful ones. But we don't follow the requirements of the order of the universe, which are the will of the Creator, God. Do you think we will ever be successful in our aims? Anybody? Anybody answer this question? Farah says no. Now, I understand that what I want to say is understood now, if somebody says no. Because we are here in this world. Because of my dignity comes from my belief in God, should not make me prevent from obeying his will within the requirements of this universe. For example, I don't know, I haven't studied the Quran properly, but I memorized a verse from the Quran. And I come to Maryam, my granddaughter, Maryam, I love her. I say, Maryam, I am going to convey you the most important message, which is a verse from the Quran. Listen to me. And I read the verse. Maryam says, what does it mean? I say, don't you believe in the Quran? He is God's word. It is God's word. Maryam will not believe in what I said. Maryam will hate the Quran. Is it the success? Where or why I failed? I have not attempted the requirements of the order of the universe, which says, if you are speaking to Maryam, you have to understand the conditions of Maryam. You have to search her capacity, search for her points of interest, her level, and approach her within her capacity. Get ready for it, study, prepare yourself, and respect the human conditions, which means human psychological conditions. Come to Maryam and try to understand her level of capacity, her points of interest, and her background, what she needs, and try to make her first be interested in the subject, etc. These are the rules of the order of the universe. If I don't follow the order of the universe, my dignity, driven from my belief in God, does not make me successful. On the contrary, if the people of misguidance, they say, I need help in order to be successful, in order to enjoy my life within a very limited period of the conditions of my life here before I die, I need every support from anyone and follow the order of the universe. They support each other by following the requirements of the universe. What they do, they are successful. Although they are successful, while they are misguided people, don't believe in God, but they will be successful. That's what I understood from this text. So in order to be successful, we have to combine two things as believers. First, I have to understand that this universe has been created by an absolute being. Second, I have to understand that I can reach him out only by following his order in the creation, within the universe, within my body, within my human side. I have to follow the order that he created me within the conditions of this universe. And then through following the order, I have to reach out God and trust him. But without following his will, manifested will in the universe, I cannot reach him out, because I cannot reach the absolute being within the conditions of this universe unless I follow his will manifested in the universe, in my being. So in order to be successful, I need to be sincere in following the requirements of the order of the universe. Even I believe in God, still I have to go through the order of the universe to reach God. Those people who don't follow, who follow the requirements of the universe, but don't have the intention to reach out to God, but still they will be successful within the conditions of this universe. But they won't be successful in reaching out to the Creator. That is the difference. Why there is a discordance between the believers? Because of their false dignity, misunderstood dignity. That's what we have to be careful about. Thank you very much. I hope, I don't know whether I could explain it, what is in my mind or not, but please, you comment on it.
Thank you. I think it's as you mentioned, it is a very intriguing and complex topic. And so if I help summarize some of what you, or the main points that you have. Okay, Faria is asked what's false dignity. Dr. Ali, please go ahead. Okay.
Would you explain what false dignity? Please go ahead. Otherwise, I will speak. Otherwise, I prefer you to speak, please.
Okay, I'll attempt, and then if there is things that need to be added and changed, so please go ahead then after, okay. What I understood as false dignity is, despite that having a belief in the existence of a creator and knowing that you are a created being, if I don't follow the order of the universe with all my capacities endowed, that I've been endowed with, my feelings, my intellect, my consciousness, and I don't, give attention based on those capacities that I have in investigating and following the order of the universe, then I give way to a sense of false dignity. And the example that Dr. Ali had shared to highlight this one was the example of him, telling somebody to read an ayat of the Quran because it is the word of God, but not really understanding what is the capacity of the reader, what is appropriate method of trying to explain to them what it is. So in that sense, the person telling this individual to read the message of the Quran, which he is right to do so in the fact that he confirms that there is the speech of a creator. He, however, does not follow the order of the universe in which he would have otherwise understood the needs and the capacity and the disposition of the individual who he's telling this to. That's what I understood as false dignity. Yes, Dr. Ali.
Yeah, that's fair enough, your explanation. But I wanted to refer to the practical life that we are experiencing nowadays in this world. People hold on to the Quran. Usually, not always, not everyone. And they keep saying that I am conveying the word of God to you, narrating, citing from the Quran, verses from the Hadith recordings, Hadith narrations, narrating them to the people without following the order of the universe, without thinking what is the need of these people, what is the interest points of these people, what they are aware of, what they are not aware of, what has the priority, which one I should let them know first, what they are missing. No investigation, just narrate the verses and the hadith narrations from the text and presenting them and claiming that they are narrating the truth. Allah will create, God will create the effect. God will create the result. But you haven't done your duty. Of course, you narrate the verses without explaining at the level of the needs of the people. What they do, they find, the audience find the verses nonsense. That is why the new generations are all running away from religion, because religion is presented to them in a nonsense way, irrelevant way. People don't believe in God. They say you should worship, you should pray 5 times a day. They don't know why they believe in God, and they say you have to worship God. Even they are not sure whether such a being, God, exists or not. So this is the contradiction that we are encountering nowadays mostly. This is the false dignity. They say, I am reciting and teaching the word of God, and God will create the result. Of course, if they don't accept, it means they don't deserve to be guided. They blame the audience rather than blaming themselves. Maybe I'm doing the same thing. Rather than blaming myself, I may blame you that you are not really seeking the truth. That's what you don't understand me. I may blame you rather than looking at myself whether I am really following the order of the creation and presenting the subject at the level of the audience and as they need this explanation. If they don't, I have to follow the order and make it clear that you need this explanation first. That's why I'm going to convey it to you. You have to learn it. It is essential for you. It is the purpose of your existence here. In order to fulfill the purpose of your existence, you have to learn this, etc. I mean, I have to prepare the minds. So, false dignity means, although claiming that I believe in God, I do something for the sake of God, but not following his requirements. It is a false claim. Your mom says, please give me a glass of water. You say, I love you, Mom. I love you. But he said, okay, give me a glass of water. Mom, I know you are a very great person. You are a very great person. You helped me a lot in my life. She says, please give me a glass of water. And I'm not giving a glass of water. My dignity in claiming that I love my mother is false because I am not following the requirements. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Fariha, was that matter clear for you? Okay, Jazakallah khair. So as we sort of conclude our session for the day, I think we walk away with a very interesting proposition and definition for the word sincerity, which is one's following of the order of the universe as it is laid out. And we understand that, even a non-believer can be sincere as long as, and be successful in it, as long as they follow the order of the universe. And a person of belief can also be sincere by following the order of the universe, but what separates them is that their success as a result of following the order is not, a worldly success, but rather by attributing or being aware that this order has a absolute eternal source of existence, they are successful in in not just material or worldly or limited terms, but also are able to connect their success to a to an everlasting component to it. I know we have somebody here who does really good summaries, and I think her name is Mariam. So Mariam, I'm sorry I might have taken a little bit of your role, but we would love to have you share your notes if you do. If you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Perfect. Go ahead.
Okay. Just a second. Okay, so my first note for the second cause was, if you want to help someone, follow our Creator's will. If you don't, your desire to help is not sincere. If you follow the order and truly believe in Him, you will be sincere. Whoever follows the order in the universe is successful. Be understanding. Before explaining, understand the capacity of the person you are explaining it to. If you don't follow the laws of the universe, your dignity will be driven by your dignity driven by your belief in your Creator will fail. Within the will of our Creator, reach out to Him. If you don't, it's impossible to connect with Him. You have to be sincere in the laws of the universe. False dignity is not following the laws of the universe. And that was my last note.
Thank you so much. Those were very helpful to hear. And with that, we'll conclude our session for the day. And next week, start from the remedies that of the second cause. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim wa akhiru da'wahum anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Al-Fatiha. Thank you everyone for